there's a lot of people raging about AI right now, and it's a complete waste of energy. It's like being angry at the sun. Like, it's there, it's going to be there every day, it's going to play a bigger role in your life. And there's a very narrow window that you can continue to ignore AI. And I really think it gets to about the end of this year. And beyond that, like, if you're not becoming AI native, you developed AI skills, you're actually worse and redundant, because you're actually an impediment to that organization going forward.
We should say your name before we keep going. Simon from Mighty Bear, which I think probably one of the only larger game studios left besides the big brands in Singapore, but you would know more than me. Like, how many are there? Like,
in terms of independence, we're probably the largest.
Yeah.
Probably. Maybe there's someone that's bigger, but I can't think who that is right now.
Yeah.
It's been a tough few years for independent studios in Singapore, for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously you have Riot and Ubisoft and the multinationals that are here for different reasons.
But independent, not so many.
Independence is kind of us, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my whole journey into games was really by accident. I have a music degree. Like most musicians, I was poor. And one summer, I needed a bit more pocket money. And I'm lucky enough that I come from a bilingual family. And so I applied for a job actually translating video games from English to Spanish, because there was an outsourcing studio in my hometown of Brighton in England. I didn't get the translation job, but they offered me a job doing QA, which is just testing. And that was in 2004. And that was like a 6-week summer job. And I've been making games ever since. And so I did testing. I was a project manager. Then I moved into design. I was briefly for about a year in charge of global online infrastructure for the Ghost Recon franchise out of here in Singapore. I have no background in IT. I was learning this stuff off Wikipedia in real time. And then
Wikipedia. Man.
This is a long time ago, yeah. And then like a senior product lead at King as well. So I was helping them like ship. King is currently makes Candy Crush, like ship games being developed here out of Singapore. And then that studio in Singapore that King owned was called Nonstop Games, which, you know, in hindsight is probably not a great name for any business, because inevitably it stopped. And so as and when they decided they wanted to relocate.
That's Johan Henrik, right?
Yeah, they founded it. That's correct. Yeah, they exited that company to King. And so they asked us to relocate to Europe. And, you know, 2015, 2016, it was looking at like a really exciting time to be developing stuff in Southeast Asia. I mean, you were investing in the region at the time. And so we're like, actually, we're going to just leave and start our own studio. And so there were 4 founders and 4 co-founders, and 8 of us left King together and started Mighty Bear in 2016. So yeah, this is year 9 now. Been
almost 10.
Journey. Yeah, someone said to me early on, they were like, you know, you got to be ready to stick at this for at least 4 years before you exit. And I was like, well, I don't know if I can do 4 years. And no, nearly 10 years in. But yeah.
Now it's 9 already.
Yeah, it's flown by actually, but yeah.
But what keeps you every morning say, hey, this is what I want to keep on doing? Because, you know, it's a journey.
Yeah, it is. And it's really tough. It's by far the hardest thing I've ever done, because you get to work with the people that you want to work with every day. That's a huge deal to me. And you get to work on things that energize and excite you. And we always go for like big challenges. So today, you know, I'd say as far as independent studios go, we're really at the forefront of what's being done in AI and gaming. And that's a really exciting space to be developing. We're on emerging platforms like Telegram, and we're doing a lot of things that just haven't been done before. And so that's both terrifying and really exciting.
Okay, you say AI.
Yeah.
So I have to double click on that.
Of course.
Do you use AI? You don't use AI?
Oh, we use it throughout. There's no part.
No, personally.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like what? What drive you every day?
I was using Claude Code this morning. So I was, you know, while I'm doing things, I have Claude Code running on the side, like building mini apps and building my own software and helping me optimize my workflows.
Are we doing this episode?
Yes, maybe not right now. Obviously, I work with ChatGPT very closely on like a bunch of things, just brainstorming and debating. You know, I'm doing something similar to this later this week. So I do a podcast every couple of weeks with my partner called 2-Player Mode, and helping prepare the show notes. Like, yeah, we use it for a bunch of different things. Asset generation, so like to create graphics for things I'm working on. It's pretty much an essential tool for everything I do right now.
Do you like that ChatGPT is starting to get to know you and, you know, profiling you, or you prefer like cache out the data?
No, I have like custom GPTs built that I've fed with information so it can spit stuff out in the right style and it has all the context. It's very useful. Yeah.
Only you don't want the context. I gotta say, you ask everybody, and everybody says,
so much time.
I want the memory, I want the context.
I want out of the box thinking.
But if you don't give it context, you just get super generic output because it doesn't have the background information.
We can have a debate on that.
Okay.
So I do follow you in all your various places, and
Yeah.
you're always dropping some job nuggets apart the game. And we're going to get into the AI stuff around games specifically, because I want to ask you about this Razor stuff that's being talked about, because I was trying to understand what he's announcing with this AI. Not saying it's more, because I'm trying to understand where this whole thing, because AI in gaming to me is just going to be big, right?
Yeah.
And you talk a lot about it. But I want to go back to some of the things you write about. One of them is you said your first producer role was 7 jobs in one.
Yeah.
And it shaped kind of how you thought about jobs and hiring. I think even building your startup, because I always see you comment about the overhiring and the way people run things, interviewing, and it cracks me up because it's pretty witty and brutally honest, and not enough people do that. So kind of, if you start from that 7 jobs in one, how did that form the way you think about this analogy, right?
To give you a bit of background, so my very first producer job was at this I'd say like very underfunded game publisher in England, and they could only really afford one person, but they really needed like 6 things being done. And so I was in charge of overseeing external software development, internal software development, QA, writing all the materials for the marketing stuff. Well, not really marketing, but so much as like the stuff that you got in the box. So like the manuals and all the kind of game copy, overseeing localization, and then working with outsourcers. And like big company, that's basically 7 different people doing those jobs. And it made me realize actually that what you really want to optimize for are like generalists that are hungry. Because I'd also worked at larger companies and went back to working at, say, like Ubisoft, which is a very big like French company. And actually like highly motivated generalists can massively outperform like these, teams that are 10, 20 times bigger of people that are very specialized. And so, yeah, it's given me a perspective that I'm quite anti-specialization, especially in something like gaming that moves so fast. And it's something I've seen borne out. Anytime that a project shuts down, the first people to be let go are the ones that are hyper-specialized. So if you're working on a racing game, you'll get these artists that be like, oh, I only do cars. And you'll get another artist that's like, oh, I'm just a 3D artist, I'll do whatever. So like those people that have that adaptability always win. And so as a startup founder, those are the people you're looking to hire. Like we talk about T-shape, so someone that's got very broad interests, maybe is very deep on 1 or 2 areas, but has that level of interest. And there's also something we screen for in the interview process.
So you look for that?
Yeah, we'll ask them about their hobbies outside of work. I'm always very keen to ask people's reading habits. If they don't read, it's actually kind of a yellow flag for me because it tells me they're not learning. And so like investing in people that are learning and self-developing, because those are the people you really need.
Audiobooks counts?
Audiobooks counts, yeah, I would count that. But if you're like not doing anything to kind of develop your learning or stay current, like if someone says, oh, I get my news from TikTok or whatever, it's probably not going to work. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of it's a window into maybe how they keep evolving, right? Yeah.
The problem is that for a lot of people, like learning ends at school. And one of the things I've learned over the last 20 years is like, no, that's actually when it starts. And so
when you get out.
Yeah, basically you start learning the day you leave school. And it figures how stuff actually works and how to get by and how to win. And I think a lot of people haven't internalized.
You have a pretty regimented process for hiring?
It's somewhat, yeah. We have, an internal process that we run with people. It culminates in a culture interview where this person will speak to maybe 10, 15 people across the org.
Wow.
In like groups of 3 or 4. And then the very final interview is with me. And it's more of a casual chat than an interview, but they've gone through all the whole process then. It's about
to get to that.
Yeah, like understanding kind of what they're about, what excites them. And one of the things I'm always looking for is like the questions they come to ask me. And so if someone gets to the final interview with the CEO and the first and only question is about like sick leave or something, like that has happened.
Red flag?
It kind of is, because like, come on, man, like you've got the company CEO here, like you've done, don't know how many hours of interviews, like you have 0 feedback or 0 questions other than like how many sick days you can get. Yeah. Kind of a red flag. Yeah. It's not a great sign.
Yeah.
These people self-select though.
What was the most ridiculous question you got?
Oh, wow. I've had people that feel the need to ask a question and they haven't prepared anything. And I've had like really random stuff like my favorite flavor of ice cream or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
So no, it's true. It's true. Like someone that's just panicked.
Because you say, hey, what do you have for me?
And
so
they
like,
didn't do you have any
about
questions for me? Like, you've got to the end of this process, anything you'd like to know about me or the company? Like, I'm happy to answer anything. As someone just panic and ask me what ice cream I like. But yeah.
Or they say, do you play games?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, come on.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I have been asked that, yeah.
Hey, you're running a global international business from Singapore.
Yeah.
Tell us more about the reality about that.
There does seem to be something in the air on the West Coast that just makes people incapable of understanding the concept of time zones. I feel like the minute you land in California, you just forget that time zones exist. And if you're in Singapore...
This is true.
Yeah.
I know what you are referring to.
But in Singapore, like, you just get the worst of all worlds. So yeah, I mean, it's tough, but...
I didn't realize that Singapore actually used to have a different time zone, 1 hour difference, and they realigned it with Malaysia or something, so it would have been one back more. And I'm like, that would have been nice. Like any hour helps.
What you gonna do, man? Yeah, I find that I have the best like sleep balance when I'm working from Europe because I will start my day very early at like 7 a.m. But by like 7 p.m. I've already had an hour of overlap with West Coast and I've been online with East Coast as well. So it's actually easier. Okay. So it's an easy 12-hour day.
Yeah. And being an independent gaming studio from here, I'm sure that has its challenges.
Yeah, massive. Yeah.
Is it what's been the acute ones that are hard to deal with?
Biggest challenge is that Singapore is not a big country, right? I think that we've got 6 million people here approximately. And that's not a massive talent pool. Like the US is over 300 million people and they have to import people to their games industry. The same in the EU. So you have to convince a certain headcounts, certainly, especially senior headcounts, you have to convince people to work here. There were changes made in the immigration regime where someone on a long-term visitor's pass can't work with a letter of consent from their partner. So it used to be that if you imported someone, then their partner could work and they would have two incomes. Now you have to sustain them both with one income. And if they've got kids at international school, you're looking at like
crushing
20K per head count that you're importing. Obviously, we can't really afford that as an independent studio. So that becomes like 20K per month, so like 240,000 a year minimum. Usually more than that if they have a few kids. And so for us, it means that we have to run split operations across multiple territories and multiple time zones. And it's become very difficult. It was certainly a lot easier to run a studio out of Singapore when we founded the company in 2016.
From a talent perspective?
Talent and cost. Like
cost of living.
Post-pandemic obviously raised a lot, especially in Singapore. It used to be that Singapore actually was quite competitive with Europe for talent costs and running costs. But it's now like, I was in London recently and like, I was looking at salaries and like, here you're looking at basically 10 to 20% more per head count and often with less experience. So it's become a much more challenging environment.
There's just a thing came out today. I think it's the competitive index for like global something, and Singapore's dropped like a fair amount because of the it was in CNA actually, and it was just basically saying that and a lot of the competitive thing is that the overall cost of having somebody here is getting to be too extreme compared to other places that have more
surprising,
talent. It's not surprising, but I don't know what the fix is. Like, I can't prescribe a fix.
Yeah, the biggest challenge is just that it's just that you can't have the partners work, so you need one income to sustain a whole family, and so that becomes really hard, regardless of cost of living. But that's obviously a policy decision that's been taken.
Yeah. Let's go back to the tech.
Yeah.
And Mighty Bear. You mentioned Telegram. Tell us more about how did you find this niche? How it's assisting to you, why you want people to be more on Telegram, because mine doesn't work for some reason. I don't know why.
What have you done?
I'm trying to
from Telegram.
I'm trying to re-authenticate. Doesn't work. I don't know why.
Typical cyber guy. You broke it.
Yeah, maybe
hacker man. So look, people say content is king, but we say distribution is destiny. And so distribution, there's no better place than Telegram. You have 1.3 billion monthly active users. or with the app in their pocket. They're starved of content. Like, there's hardly any decent content on Telegram, despite the massive audience. And everyone has a built-in wallet as well. So your Telegram account actually has a native crypto wallet, but not everyone uses it. But
I guess some people don't even know it's there, probably.
Yeah, I think it's at tens of millions a month now.
Yeah.
So it's picking up, but you got built-in payment rails and distribution and a captive audience. And so for us, it was like, okay, we're talking about the legacy app stores before this show started. Like, legacy app stores are incredibly difficult to compete on. Cost of user acquisition, you're looking at several dollars per user. For a small studio that you want millions of installs, it's kind of a problem. On Telegram, we've run campaigns where we're getting users for cents, like under 10 cents.
It's an ad campaign?
It can be ad campaigns. It can be partnerships with other projects. There's like a million different ways to do it.
Got it.
We did a giveaway recently where we were giving out a digital good worth about $3, $4 maybe, and we drove something like 40,000 installs.
Wow.
So with the right like targeted campaigns and the right Telegram native strategies, you can drive a lot of traffic. That's basically why we went to Telegram. So we can get a massive scale audience without huge outlay, but you have to be Telegram native. It's not like you can just rock up and launch your Telegram app. You actually have to spend time in the ecosystem.
It's a different game.
It is completely different. Yeah. It's like WeChat, right? People in China use WeChat for very specific purposes in very specific ways. And there's a whole culture around it and a whole design language. And Telegram has the same kind of thing. Like, it's got its own culture as well.
So do you have similar games that sit in different ecosystems, or the Telegram games are completely kind of ground up?
Today the Telegram stuff is completely native to Telegram. Yeah. We have discussed potentially porting some of it to other platforms at a later date, but it was built initially for Telegram.
And the other platforms are just iOS and Android, basically.
They could be other messaging platforms as well. Oh. So there are other messaging platforms like Line, Discord, there's a handful of others, yeah.
I'm surprised WhatsApp doesn't go into this.
Yeah, I guess that they don't want to anger Apple and Google by having their own alternative app store. Right?
Oh, that's true, because they're so big.
Yeah.
But who are the audience that using the games? You see it's more like East Europe? Do you see like Southeast Asia, like more?
That's a very good question. So our number 1 and 2 markets are India and Nigeria.
And
then it's like Eastern Europe, Western Europe, North America. So USA is like number 3. Yeah. Well, Nigeria is interesting because people use Telegram essentially for banking in Nigeria because of the built-in crypto wallet, and because it has yield, it has like an interest rate. So it's
their banking product.
Yeah. So like everyone has Telegram in Nigeria. I didn't realize this till we started building in Telegram, and I was getting DMs from random Nigerians. So yeah, that's those are the number 2, but USA is number 3, and Telegram's been growing a lot in the US in the last 12 months. So if you look at the social media category on the App Store, it's consistently like top 2 or 3. They've been doing.
And what is there is no App Store in Telegram, right? Technically,
no, there is an apps category. So if you go in the search menu, there's a little button that says apps, and it will show you by like revenue, whatever. But yeah, discoverability is the biggest challenge.
Yeah, so how do you push a new game? It must be a convoluted process of sorts to get that many users onto something new that you create.
Yeah, but where there's friction, there's opportunity, right? Because not every other developer's figured that out. And so yeah, there's like a whole playbook of 10, 20 different activities you run in parallel. A lot of it's just built around social mechanics as well. Like, you calculate the value of a user, you calculate the value of an action, and then you incentivize people to bring their friends in with that kind of
reward that.
Yeah. So, okay, well, 10 users worth this much to me, I can afford to give rewards worth this much to the user.
Do you see other companies like you, like gaming industry or creating games, are going on the same direction of, Telegram? And if yes, if you see them, say, okay, I want to, compete with them in terms of learning and then be maybe ahead of them.
Yeah, there's 2 or 3. A16Z is actually funded, I think, 2 or 3 off the top of my head. I can think of 2.
That's that games guy. What's his name?
There's a couple. There's Jonathan Lai is like the more, I think, senior one. But there's Robin Guo, who's we know as well, and a few others. And so they've backed 2 that I can think of off the top of my head. I think there's one other. So like 3 Telegram native studios doing content on there. One of them is doing really, really well, like really high value stuff. And look, it's so nascent that we have I think, more of an abundance mindset. We don't think of them in a very PvP terms because like 1.3 billion users here. No one's really figured out exactly how this works.
Even if you get the hundreds of millions.
Yeah, I didn't think about it as a competitor.
Yeah.
You know, there is a big market, but when there another one swimming on the same, you know, pool, you just want to see, hey, how he's doing his freestyle.
Totally.
That's what I mean.
We spend a lot of time like deconstructing everything on there. Yeah.
Which you don't have to divulge numbers per se, but are these your bigger businesses now, or is it where you think the future is heading? How do you kind of navigate? Because one of the things you talked about before we lights on is just the major changes that are happening around monetization, app stores. Everybody kind of knows of the Fortnite lawsuit and what that's created, and now you have these alternative app stores which are really kind of crazy. Where do you see that all going, or do you just decide to like pick Telegram for a while and ride it?
I think messenger platforms probably going to be a very important part of the mix going forward. We saw this validated in China with WeChat gaming, which is huge as well. You know, it's several $100 million a month, I think, in terms of revenues.
Those are also HTML games inside of each other.
HTML5,
yeah. Got it.
Line in Japan has been running this playbook for years, but it hasn't reached the West yet. We know that the West is typically 5 to 10 years behind what's happening
in this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, this kind of stuff. It's like if you look at mobile free to play, for example, like that was another example where this stuff was happening in Asia much sooner. And so I'm bullish on that. I'm also bullish on AI agents in the long run. And like you're seeing this already, like people having, I wouldn't say one-to-one relationships, but like daily interactions with one or two AI agents. And so using that as a distribution channel for games, that's something we've been investing in a lot. So we've built an AI called Amy. People hang out with her on Telegram. She's in group chats. She shares useful information. There's a one-to-one relationship with the player. And then you can use that to distribute games.
I was going to say, she can suggest a game.
Correct. She can say, hey, like, we've got this promotion going. And so we've been investing in that. And so like, for me, those are two angles. One is messenger gaming, and the one is AI agents as distribution. And so those are the two things that we're focused on.
So how much is this changing your tech stack?
Oh, it's completely changed. So like
give us some.
We literally cancelled our remaining Unity licenses this week because we haven't used it in a year.
Wow.
Like, to develop.
Yeah, we're building HTML5 native games using an AI tech stack. We use agents basically for the code generation, a lot of open source tooling, and like there's no need for legacy tools like Unity. All our asset creation has.
So if we break it down for everybody, because it can go quick with people who get this versus others. You have asset creation. You mean like the images, the sprites, all that kind of stuff.
All of that stuff is basically 100% AI now.
Okay.
So in 2023, at the beginning of the year, I said I want 50% of our output to be AI generated by the end of the year. I actually hit that goal in May of 2023. And by middle of last year, it was pretty much 100% AI. We're now getting to the point where our code is 90%, 95% AI as well. And yeah, all of the images, the audio, the animations, anything that's like player-facing visual creative assets is all AI.
And what tool would you use to create? Is it stuff that everybody else can get, or are you actually having to go and like customize a lot of stuff?
We've customized a lot. So we have an internal pipeline we call Nexus. Nexus is a combination of stuff that's publicly available. So we use FAL for inference. I think some of the stuff is based off Stable Diffusion as well, but a lot of it's custom tooling and custom agents. And so we've been demoing some of this stuff behind closed doors.
Running on the cloud?
Yeah. And so some of our investors have been like, hey, you should commercialize this. And I'm like, that is a whole other business. That's not something you just do on the side.
Give me the money. We'll find the people and we're going to create another company.
That's, I have enough headaches just running one company right now. So it's not really something to do.
Because I think that maybe you could ask this one too, because I think a lot of people look at the hyperscaler spends, the GPUs, all this nuttiness, and then certain enterprise stuff, we're going, when are we going to see the payoff? Do you already see the payoff?
Yeah, we're seeing the payoff already.
Yeah.
So I think, look, if you're a mega company and you have a lot of people that are resistant to using AI and you're forcing it top down and there's kind of like, you know, light chat GPT usage or Claude usage here and there, you're not going to see any impact, right? But if you...
Other than spending more money on licenses, probably.
Yeah, some marginal stuff, right? But if you really set your org up to be AI native and you have people that are fully aligned and bought in, then it works. That actually was one of the advantages of being in Asia and being in Singapore specifically, is that I find that people here are more open to different business models or different
Wow,
technologies.
I would not have thought of that.
Yeah, like Europeans especially, I'm from Europe, right? Like very anti-AI and I mean, you look at the
I'm
way
going to keep drawing these things.
Yeah, and I want to regulate the shit out of this.
That's what I want to say. The good and for bad in Europe, they like regulations and they like to stick to it.
Yeah.
They're not, everyone have his own pains, but they are like, give me the regulation, I'm going to follow it. So
people here are a lot less squeamish about AI. The only thing that we encountered is that a couple of our employees, because we like everyone to be very outward facing with what they're building, we build in public. And a couple of them were like, well, I don't really want to share it because then my friends will like give me abuse on the internet.
Because they're using so much AI stuff to do it?
Well, one of the employees is European, but it was like, well, I'm not comfortable sharing this because all my friends from back home will like abuse me and stuff. So yeah, it's quite an interesting observation.
But I always see, in my mind, I've always seen, there's a couple areas of the crevices of the internet where you have porn and gaming and whatever, where, just to be fair, like the technical envelope's usually getting pushed ahead of other more conservative places. It's just a fact, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So like I would assume in gaming, the technical envelope's being pushed because you can do things that you maybe couldn't do before in different ways, which should affect profitability. And I would think it's no different than movie people having to look at, how much stuff is now some CG being created by AI, even if it's not the final. Like this is inevitable, right? But I would also imagine it gives you some capabilities you just maybe didn't have before, right?
Everything you're saying is perfectly logical and correct, but these people are emotionally led. Like it becomes ideological with them. Like you can't have a reasoned debate. Like someone that will sit unironically through a 3-hour CG fest, like superhero movie, but then have an issue with AI because it's not real as well.
Wait a second.
Why are you drawing the line here?
Yeah. What you just watched is fake.
Like all of it. Most of it was AI assisted in some way, right? The VFX, whatever.
don't you think that AI actually change your workforce or change, when I say change, maybe you had to say bye-bye to few people or less people, or how do you look the impact of AI on your...
I mean, for us, we never let people go because AI was going to like replace them. But there were some people that were not either willing, generally actually not willing to like embrace new workflows or new ways of working, which goes back to what I said earlier about like constantly learning, right? And they would insist that the old way was more effective. It's like, yeah, maybe it's more effective right now because you haven't developed any proficiency with AI tooling, but like you actually need to invest in yourself and like pick up this skill. And so there were people that are no longer with the company, but then we gave us the opportunity to bring people in that were really excited by this stuff. And look, someone that's less experienced maybe and less capable, but has more excitement and enthusiasm and will actually put the work in, will generally outperform over time. But the composition of the team has changed. So like going back to previous point, like the team is actually more generalist today than it was even 2 years ago. So we have today, some of the artists on the team are making mini games from scratch. These are people that can't write a line of code.
Because of Codex and all these
Because of working with Claude Code and all the different tooling we've built internally. Yeah. And they can do the visuals because they're artists. They can prompt very well to get the like visual outline, and they start working with coding assistants. And it's like, hey, within 3-4 days, you actually have a playable mini game. And it was one person.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like before that would be a team of several people for a few weeks.
Yeah.
What does it take to something that's kind of been developed like that to actually get it into production? Is that something you guys do?
It's something we do already, yeah.
Is it like, hey, let's put it through test and...
So typically what you want a real engineer to have a poke at it to make sure it's secure.
Yeah.
Especially because we handle stuff like payments and prizes, right? And so that takes maybe 1 to 2 weeks. So you go
the hardening of sorts.
Yeah, and just like maybe you'll rewrite something because it doesn't scale. But within 0 to 3 weeks-ish, you've gone from idea to live product with like 2 people.
And previous to AI, that just wasn't even happening with that person anyway, right?
No, previously, I mean, you were thinking of like minimum of about 3 people for maybe a month. So it'd be 12-man weeks instead of 2 or 3. But yeah, and that's only getting faster. Like, this is the thing I always repeat internally. Is like, these are the worst these tools will ever be.
Now and it's only been a year or 2, right?
Dude, a lot of times it's been like 3-4 months with some of these tools,
I'm thinking about your company, what AI create an impact on your company, and how it's going to impact the entire gaming industry, because everyone now have an idea, you can imagine something. I'm not saying taking drugs, but running and have an idea. It doesn't have to be engineer. Maybe he's an artist in his soul and he can create a game. It doesn't, and he can compete, with other great games.
I think that's really cool. That's one of the things that excites me the most. If I was 17 years old today and I had the time I had back then, I would just be making games full time.
You can do the whole stack.
You do the whole stack, yeah. And I remember back in the day, trying to learn about network security and stuff. This is in the 90s, and you'd install some random Linux distro, and the whole thing would take several hours, and there was nowhere to refer to information.
If you are
on the
good,
internet.
it's gonna take you several hours.
It was a freaking nightmare, man.
Yeah.
And learning all this stuff from these big reference books that were this thick, and you got stuck, there's no resources. And it's now all this stuff is at your disposal. Anyone can be building and anyone can be shipping, and that's the best way to learn. And look, your first creations will probably be terrible, but that's fine. That's all part of the process, right?
Yeah, it's just flipping it all on its head. Hey, you had a comment which relates to this people and things like that. Rage against the dying of the light, adapt or retrain. Yeah. I know it's hyperbole maybe, but maybe not.
It is. It's a little bit of rage bait. But yeah. But it's true. Going back to my point, there's a lot of people raging about AI right now, and it's a complete waste of energy. It's like being angry at the sun. It's there. It's going to be there every day. It's going to play a bigger role in your life. And there's a very narrow window that you can continue to ignore AI. And I really think it gets to about the end of this year. And beyond that, if you're not becoming AI native, you develop AI skills, you're actually worse and redundant, because you're actually an impediment to that organization going forward. And so I think many people will end up dropping out the games industry because they didn't retrain and they can't find another job.
Because
they're not willing to learn or use AI tooling.
Yeah, and I think and I guess what you're saying from a gaming perspective, and I think about this from just the normal generalist theme, that I think AI is amazing for generalists.
Yeah.
And you're saying in the gaming studio, it's superpower almost, right? And I guess the more specialized you are, you might close yourself to the expansion, right?
You can always poke holes in it and be like, well, it doesn't do this very well, or I can do this better, or this is not that. It's fine, but if you learn to use these tools well, they'll make you a 10x version of yourself.
Yeah.
So that's the cliche, right? Turn someone into a 10x team member or a 10x person into a 100x. And that does seem to be borne out by what we're seeing.
Yeah, that's incredible. So basically everything you guys push out the door now is practically a large percentage of it, AI is involved.
I'd say over 95%.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh, we're a year ago.
Maybe it was 60.
Yeah. So you guys been on this for a while.
Since the end of 2022, yeah. So it's not just something we did overnight. And actually, we've learned a lot along the way, and the team has had to become AI native. And so, if you just, implement a bunch of tooling internally, you don't get to that point overnight. Everyone has to figure out how to use them best and how it makes sense in your workflow.
Yeah. And where did it start? With asset generation first or code first?
Asset. So end of 2022, we're working on this game. And my co-founder said to me, hey, your requirement for every hero to be unique, because every player could have multiple heroes, would mean that we need to create 25 million heroes and independent 3D models. And I was like, well, this is why you're a co-founder. Figure it out. And so he started investing in what was then called procedurally generated content, but that's basically the precursor to Gen AI. And so that starts in 2022. By 2023, the first Gen AI tools are coming out, like Stable Diffusion and stuff. We were super early, and we started to build our stack based off of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you've been at it a couple of years.
Yeah, it's 3 years now.
Incredible.
Yeah. Before we wrap, and I have something that I was thinking about. The person that want to have a gaming company, and he's sitting now in Singapore, and he said, man, I see all this, AI, creating games. What are the 3 advices you can give this entrepreneur that want to have a company like Mighty Bear? What he should do?
Other than don't get in the game.
Correct.
I was going to literally say, don't do it. Anyone asks me for advice?
But he wants. He's not going to listen to you. Just want to have your advice.
Okay. Be ruthless about hiring. So you need to make sure that people are like fully committed to what you're building and the way of building, and it has to excite them. So we've in the past we've hired people that don't play mobile games. Like it just never works out.
Here in Singapore or in general?
Here in Singapore, yeah. Like, I really want to work in games. And like, what's your favorite mobile game? And I don't really play it, but I'll start when I join. And so early on, we made the mistakes of hiring those people that were not fully aligned, and didn't have the interest at the time.
Yeah.
Hire self-learners. So look, I actually don't really care what degree someone has, or even if they've been to university. Like I said, I have a music degree, so like it's almost the same as having 0 degree, basically, right? From a functional perspective. Like I need people that can show that they can stick to something and they can learn. And the last piece of advice I give everyone that's starting a company in Singapore is like, be willing to travel a lot. Because all of your partners and all your investors will not be in Singapore. Like maybe you have one in Singapore, partner or investor, and that would be it. And going back to people in the States, like they generally forget you exist unless they see you at least once or twice a year. So like I'm in New York next week. And so I'm in the States at least 2 times a year. I'm normally West Coast for one trip because I'll combine that with GDC. And maybe I'll do East Coast on that same trip. But if I can't, then I have to come back and do an East Coast trip as well. And I spend a lot of time in Europe as well throughout the year too. Because again, like, these relationships are really important, and they will have a massive impact on whether you can succeed. And so I speak to a lot of founders here. They're like, "Oh, I can't get funded." I'm like, "Well, there's only like that many VCs in this town. It's a town of 6 million people. Like, where else have you been?" And they're like, "Well, I went to this trade show." I'm like, "No, that's not going to cut it. Like,
You got to go look.
You have to show up in London and be like, I'm here for 10 days. And so these are the 50, I don't know, 30 meetings that I want this week, or those 10 days, whatever." So yeah.
Would you even touch VC money again if you started over, given what's happening with tokens and crypto? Or
that's a really good question. I think given what's happening with AI, if you had a bit of savings, and so do your co-founders, you actually might not need to. And so
just time to go without pay while you can build.
You can ship really fast and start generating revenue.
But when you say savings, hundreds of thousands.
Well, it depends what you need to live on, right? Like, can you get by for 6 months? Because maybe that's all you need to get, maybe 2-3 months really something up and running with AI, and start to show like initial metrics or whatever and seeing if it works. And then like you make a call whether you want to raise money off the back of that, whether you can bootstrap. But back in the day when we started the company, I mean, I basically funded Mighty Bear with my savings for the first 6 months because it took that long to raise, because like the landscape was not great, especially in Singapore back then. And I learned the hard way that you have to go overseas. But I think today, like I would be a lot less in a rush to raise VC money, because like you guys were saying with crypto and with AI, like it's not as urgent, it's not necessary. And you know, the VCs have been tremendously helpful. Like there's one in particular who I speak to all the time and is like a great sounding board. But you're playing a different game at that point, and it's much more high stakes and it's a lot more stressful.
Do you think, like, if you fast forward a bit, a couple of years, this is all just going to keep radically changing? Is it going to create like new studios? Is it, because does this disrupt the old guard with, you know, like, or is the old guard showing up in Telegram yet as an example? Like,
they're starting to poke around the edges. So we've had a couple of people reach out for advice, and these are like publicly listed companies like, hey, our strategy team wants to learn a bit more about Telegram.
Don't return the call.
I don't mind having a call. I mean, I know a lot of these people anyway, right?
Yeah.
In the game a long time. And so I think everyone's running into the same issue where growth is so difficult in the traditional channels. And so they're looking at emerging platforms. I think what's happening with AI is going to be a fundamental shift for the legacy studios for sure, because there was a game that came out last year. It was in development for 12 years.
That's
it cost
crazy.
several hundred million euros.
Oh my gosh.
And it came out to a 50-something Metacritic. Like in the age of AI, like those projects just don't get by.
Yeah.
I mean, it would never taken 12 years with AI anyway, but like those teams are much smaller, the timelines are much faster. So you'll see a lot more products going to market. It means that distribution becomes way more important.
More than development, just getting it out
Distribution really is like the number one thing now.
Yeah.
Like how can you reach people in a cost-effective manner?
Yeah. It's going to be a trip to...
But it wasn't always like that.
No, it wasn't.
Because customer acquisition, you need distribution. You know,
It used to be, the consensus was that you needed a really solid core product. And once you prove that, then you'd hire a growth person. And they would just run some ads on Facebook. And, you know, those are auto-optimized. You play with the campaigns, but like that stuff was the easy bit. and the hard bit was building the product, and now it's flipped. Like the product stuff has actually become way easier, but the distribution part's become exponentially more difficult.
It's going to be wild. And like you said, I think with all this continued regulation or let's say the legal things, how much does it bust open other channels is going to be interesting to watch, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that there's changes on that front, because it can't be that the same 10, 20 games that, the youngest of which is like 8 years old, other than maybe Monopoly
Keep
Go,
dominating.
are still dominating the app stores since the same game since 2017, 2018. That's not healthy for anyone.
Yeah. It's not exciting. It isn't. All right, we're going to wrap up. This has been fun. I think good luck with the new channels and how things are going. I'll keep watching your podcast and your video stuff and keep hammering on people's hiring practices. Cool. I find it funny. So what's one thing that you could tell a 20-year-old, knowing what you know today, that they can take to the bank from this is the best advice you could ever imagine?
A 20-year-old?
Yeah.
I would just tell them to be building their own products right now and learning every tool that's available.
Yeah.
I would be literally setting myself a deadline so you don't overinvest. Be like, you need to be releasing a new game every week on your own. Honestly, because if you look at, I was reading some stat on Picasso, and he did a painting a day for 50 odd years.
Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Tens of thousands of paintings he did. Yeah. And so that's how you achieve greatness. Greatness isn't in spending 6 months building something to find out no one cares. I would say a game a week. Give yourself that hard limit and just push yourself and learn and consume as much knowledge as you can. Because that is an investment that will compound over the next 50, 60 years.
Just the ability to ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you even go to school?
I wouldn't actually. So we had someone interning for us a while back, and he was really good. I was like, dude, I have a job for you. He's like, no, well, my parents want me to go back and finish my degree. I was like, you realize the degree is so you can get the job, and you've got the job. Why are you doing this? So it's really important. So he went back and he's still doing his degree.
I guess it always depends who's paying for it too, right?
But you're paying for it because you're giving up 2-3 years of professional development and compounding and learning. Yeah. So no, if I had the possibility of getting an entry-level job, I wouldn't get the degree because I was actually reading something in The Economist just yesterday about the wage premium for degree holders just keeps going down and down because they're just less important and less valued. So no, I don't think it's worth. I mean, unless it's something you're very passionate about, right? I really wanted to be a working musician, and I was for a time, and that was the way for me to get network and get my foot in the door. If you want to do anything in software or tech,
just do it.
And you have the skills and someone's going to give you a shot, then just take that shot. You don't need to go. Also, I get sent some of these, I won't say who, but some of the educational institutions in Singapore have asked me to sign off on their courses before. And I'm like, this stuff's all 5 years out of date.
Game related stuff.
Yeah. Game and they'd be like, well, it's really important for our funding that we cover this thing. And it'd be like, that thing is a rounding error in the games industry. You're talking a business that's, smaller than many games. Vertical. I won't say what it was exactly. No, so I think a lot of these courses teach stuff that's not even useful.
What do you do for your personal wellness? What's your regime over there?
I'm quite militant about carving out 1 to 2 hours a day for exercise. So I've gained a lot of weight recently, but it might be running or lifting, meditation every day as well. Those are non-negotiables for me. So sometimes if I'm really back to back for 13 hours or whatever, I will carve out 1 hour slot in the middle of that day. That has to happen. I also read every night. It helps my brain just kind of switch off from work.
10 minutes, 20 minutes?
20 to 30, yeah. And I try and make sure I get at least 8 hours a night too. And I eat healthily, actually. I eat a lot better than I used to.
Pretty regimented. That's good.
You have to be disciplined.
Yeah.
Because else this will just consume everything.
Yeah. You just let it take you away, right? Yeah.
I think sleep it's one of the most important things.
Yeah, it's the number one thing, yeah.
So recovery. The body is getting recover.
The problem is no matter when I go to bed now, I'm still up at 5:30. It's
but this is because you are 25.
The age thing. Okay, you say you're reading every night. Give us a couple of good books that you'd want to pass on to others.
That's a very interesting question. I'm a bit of a history nerd, so I read I, Claudius recently, which is a classic historical literature. Historical fiction. What else? Chip Wars was quite interesting as well.
Oh, I haven't. Everybody keeps saying that. I haven't.
Chip Wars was quite good. About
Is it a fiction or
no? It's a business book about what's happening with chip design between the US and
chip
China.
war,
Politics.
like chips,
Politics and chip production.
Okay.
Physical books.
I read Kindle because I hate having many. I get through a lot of books, and I hate just having piles of stuff everywhere. I think it comes from having been quite transient in my early life and having to move a lot. I just don't like owning a lot of physical things.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
Kindle's nice. Cool. Thanks, Simon, for doing this.
Thank you.
Fellas.
Yeah, good seeing you. Good luck with the games.
Yeah, go Mighty Bear.